Welcome to the Overflow Mindset Group. Hopefully you're experiencing overflow in your life. All right, we're just going to take a look at the crude oil futures market right now. We're going to actually look at indices today. We're going to look at the futures market. Otherwise, definitely the Dow, Nasdaq, S&P 500, oil, gold, crude oil market, and take a look. We're going to dive in, looking at the daily chart here. So as we were talking about previously, we are expecting crude oil to go down to the $75 mark. So crude oil spent a lot of time below $75. So it has to come back and really test that $75 mark. So it has been progressing there. Previously, we drew this counter trend line to this downtrend that's occurring right now, and it is sinking below that counter trend line. We don't know if it's going to pull back one more time before it hits the 75 or not, but the idea is that our goal is about the 75 mark. At that point, we'll determine if price will stay there and continue lower to sort of trade below that level, which it has done for several years, or will it bounce off of this level and we will just have higher oil prices. So we'll continue to watch this as the market goes. No need for any additional counter trend line right now. The market is moving down. Yeah, like I said, we could get some bit of a bounce. If we get a bounce, you could draw another counter trend line and wait for the break of that. RSI readings are low here, so we are approaching an area where it should continue to just push down. And we'll see if it hits the 75, roughly 75. Everything's a range, we're looking around the $75 range. And so that's what our prediction has been. All right. Let's take a look at gold. Gold, again, on the downtrend as well. Looks like it might be headed towards 1600. Counter trend line breaks. We obviously in a downtrend from a daily perspective. We've been looking at counter trend line breaks here as they continue. We don't have a new one forming or anything. Price is always going in one direction until it starts going in the other direction. So right now, price has been moving down. Again, that does not mean that price will not pull back some and then continue to move down. But that is the overall direction that is moving at the particular moment. So we'll have to watch and see what happens with the price of gold. Let's jump ahead to wheat. Wheat is starting to trend up a little bit. It was underwater here, the 200-day EMA. It was underwater, now started to curve up and move above the 50-day moving average. So as it moves up above the 50-day moving average, we're starting to see upward movement here. So we'll see what happens next. Next we have corn. Let's take a look at corn. Corn, same thing. This is a huge gap we're trying to fill for corn, and right now we're kind of playing around with the 200-day moving average. Price is above the 50-day moving average, so we are getting some momentum to the upside. Looking at counter trend line breaks, we had a little bit of a movement upward, but now it's starting to drop a bit. So we'll have to watch how it reacts to the 50-day moving average, and then we'll see if it continues in an upward fashion or not. Here we have soybean. So soybean came down and was underwater for some time, but it has been trending steadily upward. So what we're going to do is draw another counter trend line here. We'll just kind of draw it starting here, and we'll try to look and see if price starts to break and move up again, or if price continues down. So definitely on the lookout for that. Let's jump to the indices. S&P 500. So S&P 500. Previously, it was in a downtrend. We were looking for this to recover and continue up above the 200-day moving average. It had been underwater, but it did not sustain that. It has started to drop back down to the lows that we experienced back in June 15th, 16th, 17th here. So we are looking to see if we find support in this zone here, and then we have somewhat of a W-shaped recovery from that, and we continue on. As you know, interest rates were increased by the Federal Reserve. They're trying to control inflation. And as a result of that, they sort of indicate that, they expect the economy to slow down, the markets to slow down, different things like that. But the public really has a big say in what happens. The Federal Reserve can't force people to invest or divest in any particular asset. They just do things and encourage certain activity, but it is independent choices that have to be made by those who invest. So the market, we can decide collectively that we're going to continue on as normal in the markets. So again, we'll have to see what happens once we get to this level as to whether we see some reaction and movement back up to the upside. So ultimately, that is what we would anticipate, but you never know. So let's see if we can pull this back again and show percentage wise what were some events. Let's see here, sorry about that. What were some events that were percentage wise similar to where we are now? So we talked about the Great Depression and Black Monday. Now we're getting down. If it were to go lower, it'd be going back to pandemic levels. Who knows if that will truly happen. And then eventually you can get all the way down to these subprime mortgage meltdown levels. But right now we have our support here. We'll see what happens if we maintain support or not, and then continue in an upward fashion or not. So we'll have to hold off and see what happens there. Again, price is moving down until it's moving up. So right now it's moving down. We are getting pretty low here on our RSI, so we may see a little bit more of a push down before we see a push up. But ultimately, we'll have to monitor that. If we want to draw a trend line, we could do that. And this time we'll kind of draw the trend line this way in order to determine if we get any sort of a break to the upside. And we don't know if that'll be sustained or not, but at least we'll be able to tell when that might happen. Nasdaq, very similar story to S&P 500. And the charts look very similar. Let's go to the Russell 2000. Charts look very similar here as well. Dow chart looks very similar here as well. So the one thing that's different here about the Dow, let's see if we can move this up some. Hold on. Okay. One of the things that's interesting about the Dow is that we've already hit the levels that we had previously back in June 15th, 16th, 17th levels here. And we kind of broke through, but we push back up each time we go through. So this is a very important time to determine whether or not this will hold, or we'll get, again, that huge W pattern taking us out of this and on to the future, So we'll see what happens there. And I think that's pretty much it for futures. I guess we'll take a look at Bitcoin, though. Bitcoin has been establishing somewhat of a bottom here. Let's just draw that out. So right about here, as you see, every time it goes below that level, it kind of bounces up a bit. Again, we'll have to see if that's going to be sustainable or not, or whether or not we'll end up with a push up or push it down, I guess, a further push down from the Ethereum futures market. So definitely we could take a look at that. Again, with Bitcoin, you have a similar situation where we were in a downtrend. If you were drawing kind of trend lines on this, again, you can kind of catch some of these moves down. If you're trading futures, you can anticipate that price will go down. But if you're waiting for like more of a positive move to the upside and that sort of thing, we'll have to wait and see if we get a break. Let's see, we could draw a line maybe like this, and we can see if it trades above this line substantially or whether it just continues to trade below this particular line. So same thing we could use would be the 50-day moving average and determine if we start trading above that. Right now we're trading below it. So again, like I said, we've established somewhat of a bottom here, but that could be broken and we could continue down. If we're looking for upward motion, we don't want to do anything until it crosses the 50-day moving average or crosses this particular kind of trend line that we have here. So looking pretty good there. Otherwise, I think that's it for futures. So overflow.